Okay, so welcome back to Tell Me Your Story. Today we are interviewing Amelia, aka the girl who started all this. Um, we interviewed me last time, and we are about to interview Abigail. And so, yeah, Amelia, tell me about yourself and tell me your story.
Well, my name is Amelia Ivey, obviously. I hope most of y'all know me. At least at this point, the ones that are listening now. But I feel like a lot of y'all probably don't know my story unless y'all have seen our Reddit, which I doubt that. So I felt like it'd be good to share my story on here. So I have grown up all my life going to church. I was raised in a very Christian home. My whole family goes to the same church as I do. So I'm very blessed in that. But I don't know, it's kind of your typical like Southern Baptist Christianity. Like you go to church every Sunday, every Wednesday, but like we don't do like stuff as a family, I guess, that's like Christian stuff. Like we don't do like devotions together or like pray together and stuff like that. So I always knew like the Bible stories and stuff, and I'd heard about it, and I knew like that you had to be saved. But actually, when I was really young, like 6, I remember like hating God because I just thought he was just a bunch of rules. And I was like, I don't want any more rules. I'm defying authority at the age of 6, you know? And so for whatever reason, I did not like that. But when I was 7, I went to a girls' retreat with my mom. It was like just for the night. It was like one of the Methodist churches in Dothan. They did it. And that night, I remember we were coming down. We were in the first curve of my driveway. And I just started crying. And I was like, Mama, like, I want to be saved. Like, I need to be saved. Like, I just felt it. Like, that conviction. And so she started crying, and she was like praying with me, and I like that night I know I was saved. And given though, I say it like that because I was 7, so like that's kind of young, but I knew that I like needed to start praying and doing that. So I started praying like every night or whatever, which is probably like, please help my dog, or something like that. I don't know. Whatever a 7-year-old would be praying about, right. That lives in a good house and doesn't have any traumatic things happening. So, anyway. But I was kind of I would say I was a lukewarm Christian. Like, I know I was saved, but I didn't know exactly what that meant and what that should look like. Obviously, because I was so young. But, anyway, so I was still going to church through all that time or whatever. And then about 5th grade, I show cows, for those of you who don't know. That's most of my personality. It's my cows. But I had one of my show cows to die, and he was the first one to die, and he was 5 months old. He was not supposed to die. He got an infection when we took his horns out. So that was like the worst thing that had happened to me up to that point. And it was really hard because I blamed myself, because I had kind of always perceived this from the church, that was God punishing me. Like, I had done something, and that was my punishment, was that my calf had died. So it was my fault. So I blamed myself so badly. And for like a week there, I was like, oh, it's my fault. It's my fault. And finally I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not going to work. Can't do it. And so I finally prayed, and I gave it to God. And I'm like, okay, Lord, like, you just got to tell me, like, is it my fault? Is it not? And he gave me a dream, because I asked for a dream, and he gave me a dream and told me that it was actually an infection. There was actually nothing I could have done about it. And that was the first time where I remember being like, okay, God's real. God can't convince me otherwise. He's real. He's here. But still, after that, I was like, okay, well, that's cool. But, I'm like 10 in 5th grade. So I'm like, oh, well, I don't know what to do now. But I'm just going to keep praying, Pray about my cows now. And then in 6th grade, we had a boy who I kind of liked him, not going to lie. But I was jealous of him because he knew a lot about the Bible. And so that got me started reading a verse a day, because I really wasn't reading my Bible on my own time at this point. And so I started reading like a verse a day, and like I never had him in any more classes, so he was out of there. But that got me reading like a chapter a day, and we kind of just like build up, from there. And so it's kind of embarrassing now because I still have to like see him every day, and he's our drummer. But anyways, I had to credit him for getting me started reading the Bible. I think God used him. Yes. Oh, he does. But anyway, in 7th grade, and at this point in time, I was like really mean to people. I was a terrible friend. And
well, it wasn't necessarily that she was a terrible friend. It's just she didn't know how to be sympathetic. Like, you could come up to her and be like, I just broke my arm. That sucks. Oh.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, literally, like, the night I told her about, like, everything that was going on with me, she was eating a candy cane and started laughing. Because that's all she knows what to do.
Well, sometimes that is, like, how people get when they're nervous. So they just
Literally, she just starts laughing. And I was like, this isn't funny.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we'll get to that,
so
though.
Amelia, it wasn't that she was a terrible friend or she was like just an awful person. She just honestly didn't know how to be sympathetic.
some people struggle with that too, though.
Well, and I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, I said this when I shared my testimony with my church. Like, yes, my family is tough. Nobody in my family shows, like, my parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, nobody shows their emotions at all. And the only thing, I wrote this in my story in Internal Suicide when I wrote it, the only emotion I'd ever seen was anger, because my parents, that's how they take everything out, because they don't process things outwardly, they get really mad. And it's not as bad as it used to be, and I'm not saying that it was like abusive or anything like that. Like, my parents are great, but that is something that I've noticed. Like, when you don't process how you need to, you're going to take it out on people, kind of like I did to Avery last night, because the Classic tournament is taking a toll on me, and I went off on her.
Just a little overwhelmed.
Kind of stuff set up, and I was on FaceTime, and she was like, Avery, I literally sent you a video. Why won't you go read it? And I was like,
What's going
I
on?
was like, baby, what's your problem?
What's going on?
She was like, I'm sorry, like, softball, so, like, it's getting me really upset. I said, baby, I didn't do that to you.
Just a little overwhelmed.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's kind of besides the point. But
Sorry.
anyway, good background information though on my family, because that will play into my story later.
Right.
But anyway, so in 7th grade, I had, like, Abigail, you talk about your encounter with God. I had an encounter with God in 7th grade, because I had another cow that had to have his horns removed. And in my mind, all I could think was, he's going to die. He's gonna die. Like, it's going to happen again. And I was so nervous, and I haven't really ever struggled with anxiety. Yeah. But I've had specific days in my life where it has been hard anxiety. Yeah. And that was one of those. And so I was like, he's going to die, he's going to die, he's going to die. And so I got another one of my cows out, and I was blowing her, which means like blow drying their hair and stuff, kind of like a human. And I was standing in the chute, because she was a pretty small calf at this time. And so I was standing in the chute, and I could see my grandfather in front of me. He was the only one around.
Right.
I could see him. I felt somebody step behind me on the chute. And the peace of God in that moment, I mean, it was like that.
Right.
That washed over me. I was like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah,
like,
it's
he's not
fine.
going to die. He's fine. I mean, flip of a switch like that. And you cannot tell me that was not God. Because I could see my grandfather in front of me. There was nobody else around. Mm-hmm. And have I ever told you that?
No, you never told me this.
I'm sorry, Avery. But yeah, that was another thing where I was like, okay, God is real. Like, you
can't deny that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the most like God encounter, like physically happening thing that I've ever experienced.
That's crazy. That's so cool though.
Yeah, that was really cool. So at this time, I think it was like the beginning of 8th grade, I like really was wanting to read the Bible a lot, and like wanting to learn about scripture and memorize scripture and apply it in my life.
Like be more disciplined.
Yes, for sure. And so I started reading a chapter every night, like, very diligently. And I started actually praying, so it wasn't, like, for my cows. It was, like, for my family, especially at this time, and my friends and stuff like that. And just, like, my Christian walk. Which I always say, like, I didn't know God was preparing me, but he was preparing me for what was to come. So,
Right.
Fast forward to July... it would have been before July 4th, because that's what I was preparing for. But I was getting the camper ready for some of my friends to come over, because they were staying for the 4th of July weekend.
Uh-huh.
And I was, like, cleaning the camper, and I went to put the remote up in a cabinet, and I opened the cabinet, and a pistol fell out in my hands. And I had never struggled with any type of suicidal thoughts, but in that moment, I thought, oh, like, I could kill myself with this.
Yeah.
And it scared me, because I was like, why am I thinking like this? Like, I'm insane right now. Like, who thinks like that? So I shoved it back in the counter, or the cabinet, and closed the thing. And I don't know, I just thought about it, but I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want to admit it. I'm like, no, like, only crazy people do that. Like, those people, and I put that in quotes, those people are crazy. You know, that's what I was thinking, because that's kind of what I'd grown up with.
You had been taught,
You know? And, I mean, it's not that anybody had just blatantly said that, but
that's,
that
like, what was insinuated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there was definitely, like, a stigmatism there for that. So that was the first one. And then what I did not know at that time is a couple weeks later, Avery actually tried. So
Indeed, I did.
So that we found that out much later, but that was
But it was just, like, something, like, just a very odd, like, correlation.
Yeah, and we have an inside joke that is, like, the summer between 8th and 9th grade, because 8th grade for us was always, like, the worst year or whatever, and we found that true for so many other
Honey,
kids.
me and my freshman year.
Yeah.
Woo, honey.
Yes. So, anyway, so I got into my freshman year, 9th grade, and I was bush hogging one day, and I was just going along, just bush hogging like normal, fine. I hadn't had another thought for a couple months, because it was, like, September at this point.
Right.
And I was bush hogging, and all of a sudden I thought, I could get out of the tractor, and it wouldn't stop, because the seat sensor doesn't work, so it just keeps going if you get out of the seat. I could, like, slow it down enough where I could get in front of the tractor, and it'd run me over, and I'd lay head first, so I would die before it destroyed the rest of my body. And I just sat there, and I couldn't even look at the door. I just, like, stared, like, directly in front of me, and I just kept bush hogging, just sitting in silence.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, I am losing my mind. Like, what is happening to me? But I still wouldn't tell anybody, still didn't admit it, you know? If I said this in my testimony at church, too. Like, if I didn't admit it, it wasn't real.
Mm-hmm. Which
Not
is not
true.
true.
So wrong.
False
Yep, not
information.
true at all.
But anyway, so we were fine after that. No thoughts, but I was distancing from God because of that. Because I knew something was wrong with me, but I would not take it to God, because that meant I had to admit it to myself that I had a problem. And I was not in the business of doing that back then.
Yeah.
So I distanced from God. Like, it felt like when I would read the Bible, I was just reading words on a page. But like when I was praying to the wall in front of me.
Right.
There was no feeling of God whatsoever. And that was really hard. That I was depressed back then, which I wouldn't admit that until like a couple weeks ago, honestly.
Yeah.
Because that's been another struggle of mine that I've come to see and realize that's what it was. But like, I could not eat. I remember being at restaurants and having to like force myself to eat and being like, I'm gonna throw up. Like the next bite, I couldn't do it. And I was just drained. I was done. I was so done with living. And it got to a point where it was just like a depressive cycle, I guess, where like I didn't really want to wake up. I didn't really want to do anything, but then I felt bad for not doing anything because that would make me lazy. But then, like, I didn't want to do anything, so it just kept like
a
spiraling.
just never-ending cycle.
Yes. And like, still couldn't feel God. So this went on until November 20th. And I had a good friend of mine at the time. I had sent her a poem, and I remember it, so I'm going to say it on here. It says, "It's not that we're suicidal, our brains are just idle. We think too deep when we're trying to sleep, but we're okay, thanks for asking anyway." And I sent that to her, and I wrote that trying to convince myself that I was okay.
Right.
You know, it's just my brain, it's just idle, you know, we're not suicidal.
Yeah, like, you're good.
Just because I'm sitting here not doing anything.
Yeah.
Right. Like, trying to
Yes.
convince yourself it's all of these other things.
Yes. And so I sent it to her, and she sent back, "Are you okay?" And
Oh.
Okay, can I say something real quick?
mhm.
Okay. I think Shannon asked this the other day to you. In that situation, try asking, "Are you okay right now?" Because if someone's like, "Are you okay?"
I would take it as,
Yeah.
like, are you calling me crazy?
Yeah, like, are
Like,
you not?
What do you
I
mean?
Like, also, like, "Are you okay?" is such a bland statement. Like, anytime I talk to my friends now and they show struggles like that, do you want to talk about it? Like, do you?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? Because if not, that's okay. But I need
Right.
to know that you are stable enough to go by yourself.
But then it could play into the fact that some people just don't know how to react. Like, if they, like, if somebody, like, some people, right.
AKA
But, like,
laughing.
right, but, like, some people just don't know what to say. They're like, what do I do? Like, so some people, like, they're just automatic answers, like, are you okay? Like, but then over, like, text and stuff, it can come across of, like, are you okay? Like,
Yeah.
like,
Get your life
like,
together.
yeah, that, but I think it's also, like, some people just don't genuinely know what to say, and then, like, you're paranoid about sending something over text because you don't want them to, like, perceive something crazy. But then at the same time, how are you feeling probably would have been better.
Yeah. Well, and you have to remember, at this time, I did not show emotion.
Right, so, like,
I,
probably, like, this person probably, like, had no clue.
Exactly. And, like, Avery can tell you, she had never seen me cry.
Yeah.
Ever before this. I don't cry in front of people.
Right.
I did not show emotion. All I was happy. And I made people laugh.
Right.
That's all I was. Which is the number one sign that
somebody is struggling.
Wrong.
Yep.
But I mean, I had no clue about that. And I
Yeah.
was going through that myself. So, I mean, I can't blame her. Obviously, could it been better? Sure. But that's exactly what I needed to hear that day. Because that's what brought it out of me.
Which is good, yeah.
Yeah, was, like, because are you okay? And I really had to stop and think, like, yes. I was like, what is happening? Because I knew there was something wrong. But I wouldn't admit it. And so she finally got it. She kind of brought it out of me, like, okay, there is a problem here. And I need to go to God with this. Like, I cannot keep doing that. So that night, I, like, was just laying in my bed, and I was like, Lord, I am so done. Like, will you please just take me? Because, like, I don't want to kill myself because I don't want to go, like, that way.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be here anymore. I cannot live like this. And I was I wanted to die so bad. Like, that's all I remember from that night is, like, just pleading with God to, like, please just take me.
Mm-hmm.
But I made an agreement with him. I'm like, but I'm not going to go unless you take me. Because I know you have me here for some reason. And I cannot see it, but I'm here. And I forgot to mention, but throughout those 3 months, I knew God was there. Even though I couldn't feel him, I knew
he was there with you.
Yeah, and I had faith in that. And I mean, that's, like, Avery said this in her, like, that was where I had the advantage because I was saved and I had God with me.
Right.
I just couldn't feel him. He just wasn't, you know, I didn't think he was there, and now I know I was just straying like a mile from him. So that was my fault. But, you know.
We live and we learn.
Yes, we do. So anyway, so that night happened. So that was November 20th. I woke up the next morning, and I was like, oh, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Why? You know, I wanted to die that night. But I had plans that day. I had to come and get BQA certified.
Beef quality assurance.
Yeah, so I was actually at the experiment station in Headland that day. And then I went and met one of my other friends. And she went bush hogged with me. And she actually asked me that day, like, we were talking about suicide somehow. It wasn't because of me, because at this point I had told nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Right. And, but somehow we were talking about it, and I was like, no, like, I would never do that. Like, that's crazy, you know. It literally knowing.
No, Mom, I would never do that.
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
months later.
Right.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, knowing that the past night I had wanted to die so bad.
Right.
And I was like, oh. So I felt so bad for lying to her, but we'll get back to her in a little bit.
Right.
But anyway, so that was November 21st. That was a Tuesday. And this was during our fall break. So a few days later, on December 7th, 2023, the day that will go down in infamy, not because of Pearl Harbor, but because Avery Griggs called me, and I was indeed sitting there with a candy cane propped up on my hockey table. And I don't even know what we were talking about to get it started, but we were talking about me just, like, staring into space, thinking.
I
And she's
think I
like,
was ranting about
I
maybe
think
it was
so, too.
softball.
And then she was just like
I was just
staring like off into space.
yeah, I was like, are
Okay.
you even listening to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm just thinking a lot. And she's like, oh, when I do that, I get depressed. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know I was ranting, because I made a joke out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was literally just like, yeah. And it wasn't like, you know, like, you're right. No, it's like an agreeing, like, me too. Yeah. And so I remember she was like, you're depressed? And I was like, well, I mean, like, I don't know, but, like, I go
Right,
into
like, you
depressive
don't know.
cycle, and I'm like, you know, trying to make all these excuses
Yeah.
and stuff. And she's just looking at me like,
Like,
what?
babes, come on, let's just admit it.
Yeah,
Like, why are we
what
lying?
are we talking about? And I'll never forget it. She was like, Amelia, I'm going to tell you something, but you can't tell anybody else. And I've never told anybody this, but you can't tell anybody else. And so she told me her story. And I was just, like, sitting there, and I didn't really know what to say, but the only thing I could think to say was, well, don't tell anybody else this, but pretty much I've been exactly where you've been, too.
Yeah.
And we've struggled with the same thing. And, I mean, we just sat there and just looked at each other like we were trying to keep this a secret from everybody else for so long. And we've been through the same
thing. Like, right in front of each other.
Yes. And so that was one of the best days, because I was like, oh, my gosh, I am not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one. It's like somebody else has gone through this before. But we still were not telling anybody, you know, this was a big secret.
Yeah, the next day whenever we saw each other at school, it was one of those things where we just kind of like looked at each other like...
Yeah, we knew, but we couldn't.
But they don't know. We know they know.
Right.
Yeah, and I told Avery this before, like, because she tried with the shoestring, so I just kept looking, like, at her neck and being like, she could have not been here, like, 6 months ago. And I don't know, like, honestly, that has scarred me for life and is a big reason why I want to do this so much, like, get other people's stories, just because I could have lost my best friend and not even known it.
Right, and you didn't even realize it.
Exactly, because at this time we weren't, like, best friends. We were good, like, really good friends.
Yeah, we were close, but we weren't where we are now.
There were a lot of people that would have come between me and Avery at this point in time.
Oh, yeah.
And... like, and now, you know, I look at her and be like, I could have lost her before I even had this chance. And would I even be here? I don't know. Because, I mean, God has used her so much. And so that's why I'm really, you know, I really want to tell people my story and tell other stories to know that they are not alone. There are so many other people out here.
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to talk about it. Anyway, moving on from that, 2 days later, December 9th, I had all these thoughts running around in my head, and I was like, oh, I can't, like, do this. So I've always been one to write stuff down. If my head is getting too loud, I'm just going to write it down. And so I wrote a story, and I titled it Internal Suicide, and that is probably how most of y'all are listening to this podcast right now, is through that story. I wrote down my own story, starting exactly how I started with y'all, and wrote Avery's story, and I gave her the alias Mary, because I was under strict instructions to not
name her.
tell her, which I didn't want to do that anyway. I did not want to expose her, but I knew I had to get it out somehow.
She disguised it so good that whenever she gave it to me, I didn't.
You didn't even
know
think about it.
It was me until I went to wake up my sister in the story. Like
Yeah.
I was like, "Holy cow, that's me!"
Right.
Yeah, and I was so scared, and I didn't tell Avery this for a while, but I was so scared when I wrote that because I thought she was going to be mad at me. And so I tried super, super hard
To like,
disguise
yeah.
her and protect her identity. And, like, I had a bunch of my friends who had read it, like, after the fact, and they were asking, they're like, who's Mary? Like, why won't you just tell me? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm never going to tell you unless she
Right.
tells me I can tell people.
Right.
I
mean, she still holds that.
Which is
to
good.
her, she still holds that value to her today. I mean,
Yeah.
like, there's someone that reached out to her, and I mean, I haven't pried or asked, but it's one of those things where, like, I think having a trustworthy friend is one of the most important things you can do.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's so important who you surround yourself with, because, like we were saying earlier, like, people like to gossip or like to tell and stuff like that, but it's good that you have, like, it's good to have friends that you know will have your back and won't go and tell something that you're uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wrote that, and as I was writing it, the friend who I sent the poem to on November 20th, she, like, I told her that I was writing about it.
Yeah.
And so I actually invited her to, like, edit the document or whatever just so she could see it as I was typing it. And so that's how she found out my entire story, because she knew nothing about the suicide part until she read that. So she kind of read it as I was writing, and then I had two friends on either side of me in gym class one day when I was typing it, and one could care less that I was writing, but the other asked if I'd struggled with suicide. I'm like, no, the story is about how you had to commit internal suicide to find eternal life. And that is also what I told my mom when she saw me.
When she saw it,
yes, because I had to print out like 10 copies of this before I told my mom, so it's kind of hard to like do that.
It's kind of hard to like
her not
and her not notice. Yeah.
So that's what I told her. But anyway, after I got done writing it, I finished it on March 6th, and I gave it to Avery, and I'll never forget, we were in Coach Stinson's class when I gave it to her.
Oh my goodness.
And it was like, I just had it out. It was like, it just said internal suicide on the top. I opened my binder. She read the title, immediately loses it, starts bawling, crying. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And that made me feel so bad because I'm
Mind you, we sit in the front row.
Yeah, so Coach Stinson is like, ladies, here we go.
Yeah, like, what's going on?
But that scared me to death because it's like, oh, look at me. Like, I've heard her again. Wow. Great. Good going, Amelia. I don't know.
Just like feeling like guilty.
Yeah, I was just guilty. And so anyway, it took her like a week or so before she finally could read it.
Yeah.
But she sent me a time lapse of her reading it, and to read it again, you could see the pain that she felt reliving it again. And that's where I kind of realized, like, this is a very sensitive subject.
It is,
and, it kind of put that weight on it.
It wasn't until, maybe November, if not December of this year, that I was able to talk about it or not cry.
Yeah, because we couldn't even talk about it for a while.
It's hard, yeah. It took me forever to share my testimony without tearing up.
I would just break down because it's so, like...
It's hard.
The truth will really set you free. Like,
it does, though. Like, it's that relief. Like,
it is.
It's the release of, like, all that. Like, do you hold in for so long? Especially something like that. Like, it's heavy. So, like, when you finally release it, it's like, I can finally breathe.
Yeah, but me and Amelia were talking about it the other day. We were like, if this was 6 months ago, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Well, when you shared your story, I was like, I can't. Like, I was sitting there thinking, like, I can't even believe she's doing this right now.
But it just shows it's all in his timing. Like,
It really is.
when it all first happens and, like, you first talk about it, like, it's so hard. And so you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to, like, share it with, obviously, with the world because we're putting it out. But, like, it's so important that, you know, God does, like you said, like, he was preparing you for what was to come. I think he does that in all aspects, like, whether it's preparing you to share your testimony, because you never know where he's going to ask you to share your testimony, when he's going to ask you, like, So it's just one of those things, and it is an emotional thing, especially something like that. Like, mental health is always a sensitive topic, and it's so, like, heavy, no matter what it is.
Yep. So for a while they were the only ones to read it, but eventually the girl, and I remember now that I put their names in my story, so I'll just say their first name just to make it easier to keep up with. So Ella, not y'all's Ella, my Ella, was the one that read it as I was writing it. So she told her sister Anna, and they were like the ones to know. And then I had Grace. She was the friend that was on the other side of me that didn't really notice at all that I was typing. She was just like, oh, yeah, you're writing a story. Cool.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it, but I gave it to her. And then Audrey, I gave it to her because I like heard that she had struggled with something, but that turned out to not be completely true. But anyway, she read it anyway.
But still, I mean, hey.
Yeah, she thought it was good.
Right.
So that was, she got it.
Right, she got the point.
And at this point, it was like, this is starting the next school year. So this is like the beginning of 10th grade. And only like 4 people know. You know? And I was always very selective of the people that I would let read it because I knew, I mean, I was exposing a part of myself that I didn't want everybody to know. And I was exposing part of Avery's story, but nobody knew it was Avery.
Right.
But still, so I remember I was in the camper. We were on a camping trip, and I was with Claire Walton. Y'all know her.
Yeah.
She was the one that I was bush hogging with the day after all that happened, that I did not want to be alive. And I let her read some of my journal entries, and that's how she figured it out.
Yep.
That I had struggled with suicide, and so I let her read it. And she was the first one where she was like, Amelia, like, please, if you ever feel this way again, please, like, tell me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind helping you. And so she was the first one. I was like, like, people actually want to help me. Like,
yeah.
Wow. You know? Or, you know, besides Avery.
People actually don't want me to not be here.
Right, like, they actually care for me. They actually want to talk to me.
About me. Like, stop.
Right, like, quit. Like, okay.
So, anyways, I gave it to her. And then it was a while before I told anybody else, just because nobody else really came up. Because I would only give it to people who were, like, my very closest friends, and Claire and I were very close at that time. Yeah. Or that I had heard somewhere that they had struggled with the same thing. That was the only way I would give it to them. So one of my other friends, Alyssa, who I've known for a very long time, I decided to give it to her on her birthday because she has struggled with her mental health a lot, and I've had to help her through that, or I've had the privilege to help her through that, because I do not mind at all. I'd so much rather her call me at, midnight and be like, I need help, and be like, okay, please, just stay.
Right, yeah,
just stay.
yeah.
You're good, just stay.
Just take your next breath.
Yes,
Yeah.
just keep reading.
Right.
But anyway, so I gave it to her on her birthday, which I always say that's like the worst birthday present ever, is to get, a story.
What a
entitled,
birthday present.
Yeah, internal
Right.
suicide. Wow.
Thank you.
I could write you a thank you note for this one. There you go.
Right, like.
So, anyway, then I had gotten closer to another friend of mine, Shannon, and I decided to go ahead and give it to her because Shannon and Avery had been best friends before Avery and I were best friends. And I knew Shannon had struggled a little bit, which, like Avery said, that's her story to tell, and I hope that she will be on this podcast one day. But I decided to give it to her, and that was one of the better decisions I've made, because a couple weeks after that, I had a big fruit basket turnover with some of my friends, and I am so glad that Shannon knew my story when that happened.
Yeah.
Because that helped a lot. But also, when I told Shannon, Avery had told her about the bugs and the hallucinations of her story. So Shannon actually knew who Mary was.
Oh.
She texted me and said, did Shannon text me, right?
I told her to. I was like,
Oh,
Shannon, you
okay.
need to text Avery right now. And
Right.
She
she
was
tell
like,
her.
hey, I read this story and I know you're married or something like that. I I immediately start sobbing, crying. I'm in my mom's chair in the living room.
Yeah.
Like, I am weeping. Like, I literally, me and Amelia have a joke. I got mascara in my eye.
Yeah.
Because I literally, that's what I kept saying. Because, like, I kept getting mascara in my eye.
Yeah,
I
'cause
was
you're just
crying
sobbing,
that
yeah.
hard. And I was like, did I tell her? Does everyone know? Like, I was spiraling.
You were
that,
freaking
like,
out.
One of the biggest spirals that I've had, and that tells you something.
Yeah.
Like, and so I was like, Amelia, what? And I kind of felt bad because I bombarded her with questions.
Yeah.
And anyways, continue.
No, but I mean, because Shannon worded it, she was like, yeah, like, I didn't know Mary had struggled with that, like, AKA Avery or whatever. And I was like, I thought I was going to throw up. Like, that second, I was like, oh no, what have I done? Oh no, oh. And I was, like, freaking out. And so I told Shannon, I was like, please tell Avery that you know and that I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, it turned out to be fine. But Shannon gave us a big scare after that.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, everyone knows.
But it turned out to be fine. So anyway, a couple days after that, I decided to give it to the first adult, Miss Armstrong. She was one of our teachers. And I had really connected with her, I guess, just because she always made an intentional effort to know each of us personally, like, every day. And still to this day, I've never had a teacher like her at all. And I've told her that too, and she's like, oh, well, you know, it's whatever. And I'm like, no, like, you don't understand. You're the only one that does this. So I gave it to her, and that was really scary because she was an adult, you know. She actually might do something.
Yeah.
And that scared me because I'd
Not harm her, but, like, do something as in tell someone.
Yeah, do something
not
as,
like
give
hurt
me
her,
help, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, that sounded very odd.
Well, yeah, but I meant, like, get me help, but I didn't want that because that would mean I had to admit it to my family.
To your family,
my parents, to my other friends, and I didn't want that at that time. But, I remember I went in there and gave it to her, and I came back after she had read it, and you could tell she'd been crying, and she was like, first of all, are you okay? And I was like, yes, I am. I still struggle with this all the time, so, you know, it's here and there, whether I'm okay or not.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was like, yeah, and she's like, I was going to leave Northside, but I'm staying now because of this. Because I told her, I gave it to her to help the younger kids that were coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I have to stay now. Like, you've given me no option, you know, because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Which turned out to be great. But anyway, she was really scary because that was the first adult I told. And the next person I told was another adult, Miss Miranda, because her friend, Swick, had actually tried to commit suicide, and then she died in a car wreck 4 days later.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave her my story, and that had been really good. But she was also scary because she's my mom's employee.
Right.
So we were getting closer and closer to my parents.
To your parents, yeah.
And I was kind of, you know, or that was God, just, like,
slowly,
leading me
like,
to people, like, building up to them. And so, and I told, like, a bunch of other people, but I'll just go through the highlights. So, and
the highlights.
well, I mean, there was like 20
I
people
get what you
that
mean.
whole- but we got to February, and I decided I wanted to tell Miss Rhonda. Miss Rhonda has been one of my biggest cow mentors. If you have known me for a while, you've definitely heard of Miss Rhonda.
You've known her since literally not even a while. If you've known her for 6 months, there's no way you haven't heard the name Miss Rhonda.
Yeah, I love Miss Rhonda. She's good. She's good for me. She's like my second mom, I like to say. But I decided I wanted to tell her, and I don't really know why. I thought maybe because she could help, like, her other show kids.
Mm-hmm.
But now I see it was all God.
Yeah.
God wanted me to tell her because she was also crying after she read it. Everybody does that. You know, I wonder why.
I was about to say, girl, what do you mean?
I wonder why. But I told her, and she was like, Amelia, you need to tell your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to stop hiding it. You need to tell them. And I was like, ooh, like, yikes, that's scary. Like, I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the next week, the next Monday, we were out of school, and I was home alone. I was working on a project because I had to build a bridge for my physics class. I was working on that. I had to blast worship music because this was another day where all of a sudden I just had anxiety out of nowhere.
Right.
And so I was just nervous and on edge all day because I'd been thinking, I was like, okay, well, this would be a good day to tell my grandmother, like if I was going to. But that scared me so much. And so I called Avery.
One thing to keep in mind here, when Amelia tells anyone, she gives them the internal suicide story. Like, she lets them read it.
Right.
Miss Rhonda told her, you need to tell your Mimi. Like, you need to tell her.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
like,
so this is why it was so hard for her, because this was uncharted territory.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, before this, I had never told anybody besides Avery.
Okay.
That night. Excuse me. She was the only one I told. So that was like 2 years ago, and I was like, I told Avery, I'm like, I don't even know how to tell her. Like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, like, I called Avery, I'm like, I'm going over there. Help.
Yeah,
Right.
honestly, it was one of those things where she called me and I was like,
like, uh-oh, like, what do I do?
You okay?
Yeah.
Do you need me to come get you?
Oh, but so anyway, I went over there and I was just like on the verge of tears the whole time, which never happens.
Yeah.
I do not cry in front of my family.
Right.
And so I was trying so hard to hold him back, but also like tell her my story. And when I got done doing that, it was like I could just breathe again. I was just like, like, it's over with. Finally, I'm not stressing out about this all day. So I'm so glad that I told her. And she was a counselor for 35 years at an elementary school. So she saw a lot of that. But she told me too. She's like, you need to tell your mom. Like, soon. You've got to, if you're going to tell these people that are really, really close to you as adults and like your family, you need to tell your
say
mom.
something, yeah.
So the next week, the next Monday, or no, this was the next Sunday, she came. Oh, let me back up. So that Saturday, Avery and I had gone to the Sadie Robertson thing. And I can't even remember what the question was. But I looked at Avery with like just fear in my eyes because I was like, I'm going to have to tell my mom. Like, now. And Avery, praise the Lord for Avery. She changed the subject. She's like, let's pray.
Yeah.
So she grabs our hand and starts praying.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mama knew. She knew something.
She knew something's up. Like,
she was like, what? And I'm like, I don't know. I've just been so like angry recently.
Yeah.
I have anger in me.
I was like,
girl, what? Yeah.
Get out of here.
She's like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. What is happening? Where did this come from?
Right.
But it was the next day. It was Sunday night. She came back to my room and she said, if you weren't okay, would you tell me? Because she had like asked if I was okay, and it's like, yeah, I'm fine, of course. She's like, if you weren't okay, would you tell me?
Would you say something? Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, of course.
Girl. Right. 100%.
No secrets here. But she just stood there for a while, like for a few seconds. And I wrote this down.
Like 4 years.
I bet.
It felt like forever because in my mind I was thinking of the story that was like 2 feet from her.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's gonna have to
know.
I'm gonna have to tell her. But that night I got in the shower and I lost it. Like I was just like praying. I was crying. I could not stop crying.
Your shower is her safe space.
Oh yeah. I could not
That
sing.
is my safe place too. I don't even blame you.
So I was
my
singing in the
safe space.
shower every night. This night I could not sing.
Like,
at
your
all.
mind was just everywhere.
I was just crying. I could not stop crying, which that does not happen to me either. But I'd sent Avery a video. It's like 4 minutes long of me being like,
I'm dead asleep.
Mama came back here and asked if I was okay. And I'm not, but I don't know how to tell her that. And I'm stressing out. But anyway, so finally the next week, she had gotten home from work early, and I was home early, and my dad wasn't home. Nobody else was around. So I let her read it. And that was another one of the better things I've done.
This is the same night I told my parents.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So as I was letting Mama read it, Avery was telling her parents. So
okay.
that was really cool. And I told her that too. We use each other as excuses.
Right.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
know
yeah.
what? Hey,
We threw each other under the
that's
bus.
okay, though.
Hey, I like literally one time I was like, but Amelia struggles with that too, so it's okay.
Right.
No, but I
Right.
always used the Avery. But like Avery actually like tried. So like
Yeah.
I
I
was
was
like, Avery's worse.
Right.
which I mean she's not. I mean like suicide is suicide. If you're gonna think about it as much as if you actually try,
try,
what's
then-
the difference?
Right.
But like Avery acted, I didn't.
Right. Like trying to throw each other under the bus. That's crazy.
I threw her under the bus at church.
Oh my gosh. That's the worst place to throw somebody under the bus.
That's the perfect way to go.
Well, it
into
is,
that day.
yeah.
Because we sang at Avery's church one Sunday, and we were singing the song "Demons" by Josiah Queen.
It's a good song.
It is really
And she told the church that she's like, yeah, I like struggle with suicide, and Amelia did too. And I'm like,
And
okay.
Amelia did too.
Okay,
Oh my
'cause at this
gosh.
point, my dad and my grandfather don't even know. I haven't told them yet. And
Avery.
but I thought in that moment, I was
He's
like,
just
sorry. I didn't mind.
I mean, now she don't mind. It's already out there, so.
She's getting her guitar ready.
I know.
Okay.
Alright, okay, thanks, I guess.
But in my mind, I was like, there is no way I would ever tell my church that. No way.
Well, she beat you to it.
That night, I made a TikTok, and it was with the song Why Me, because in the second verse he says, maybe, Lord, I can show someone else what I've been through myself on my way back to you. So
Yeah.
I made a TikTok, and it was all 20 of the people I had told up to that point. And I was like, like that, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should tell the church that.
Yeah, maybe honest.
Because, I mean, I've grown up in church my whole life. They've known me forever, and they love me, and they care about me, and I think they deserve to know.
Mhm.
And, because I didn't really have the intention of, like, oh, maybe I can help somebody. I was like, no, like, they just deserve to know. At this point. Because this is a major part of my life, and if I was asked, I thought to myself, if I was asked to share my testimony, I could not leave this out anymore. So, I need to get it out. So I texted my music minister that Tuesday night, and I was like, do you mind if I sing Why Me by Chris Christopherson? Because that was the song that I used. And he's like, sure, like, we have an opening Sunday, which is like 5 days away. And I'm like, oh, great, okay. But then I realized, I was like, oh, well, I need to tell my dad and my grandfather in the next 5 days somehow that I've gone through this. So I told my dad that Wednesday night, and then my grandfather that Saturday. And I got up to speak in front of the church and gave my whole testimony. And then I sang after it. And I have had 5 people come up to me, 5 adults come up to me from our church and have told me, I have been through the same thing. I've struggled with suicide just like you. And I've been through the same thing. I actually had one lady that came up, and she told me last night I was thinking that. And I would not tell anybody because I didn't have anybody I could tell. But I was struggling with that last night. And I was like, okay, Lord, like, yep, you're real again. Look at that.
Look at
Imagine
that.
But that has really been the story of my testimony. It's all in God's timing. It's all been in God's will.
Yeah.
And I used to pray when I was first going through it, like, Lord, like, I know you're going to use this somehow. Could I even have imagined what he was going to do with it? Absolutely not. But I knew he was going to use it somehow. And it's been so cool in the past 2 years to see just how he's done that.
Right.
And the conversations I've been able to have, I mean, so many people have opened up to me, and I've learned so much about people that I've known a long time and never knew anything about this.
Yeah.
And so that's why I had the story, or the idea of the story with the podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like we say every time, if there's one thing you could tell your younger self, what would it be?
You know, we ask this every time, and I've never really thought about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would tell her it's going to get better.
Right.
And everything that is happening right now is for a reason. So don't worry about it. It's not your fault. It's not something you've done. You haven't screwed up. it's supposed to happen. So let it happen.
There's
Sorry, my
purpose
chair
in
is
the
going
pain.
crazy. Yes, there is purpose in the pain.
Yes.
And just like Avery said, just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep living. And every morning when I wake up, I say, Lord, thank you so much for waking me up. I get to live today.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'd have told me I'd have been saying that a year ago, I'd have probably laughed in your face.
Right.
Is there one thing that you're still scared of in that aspect? Like, other than, like, just going up and talking to a person or telling a random person your story, is there anything that gives you anxiety whenever it comes to sharing your testimony?
Well, I think that is something that has been throughout my whole testimony is, like, the devil has always tried to keep me quiet. And that's what Miss Rhonda told me, too. She's like, Amelia, like, that's what the devil wants. He wants you to keep quiet because, like Avery said, the truth will set you free. Telling people is how you get better.
He wants to isolate you.
Yes, he does want to isolate you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're isolated, then it's just you fighting.
Yeah,
but
just
now
you by yourself.
I have other people who know, and I have other people that I have to be there for.
It breaks, like, the bondage of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay,
exactly.
and you also have accountability with people.
Yes.
Because then other people know about it, so you can go to somebody and talk to about it.
Yes. So, but yeah, I mean, I still struggle with that too. Like, because even with the church, I was so nervous telling them, and if I like send people like a text or something, like when I was talking to my cousin because she was one of the adults that came up to me like after church and was like, I've been through that same thing, and I was like, somebody in my family has gone through what do you mean? But I was so nervous, I guess, to even like text her about that because we were talking about it, but I've just come to realize that like that's just the devil, and I'm not gonna listen to him.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let him keep me silent. So
Are there any verses or things from scripture that you want to share to maybe help people that are going through the same thing?
yes, so my life verse, I guess now, because of this story, is John 19:30. It's on my necklace right here. And it's where Jesus was on the cross and he said, "It is finished," and he died. But I love that it is finished because that meant that everything I'm going through, right, like he's defeated it. It's not just me having to fight that. Like he has defeated death, he's defeated Satan. So all these things I'm going through, I have victory in through Jesus.
Right.
And that is what got me through so many times, knowing that I did not have to fight alone, that it was already won. This battle was already won. And you know what? When I do die, it's okay because it's all
It's been
finished. I'm
won,
going
yeah.
to heaven.
Right.
I know that. So
Yeah. It's a good thing.
Is there anything else?
No.
All right. I love you. God loves you, and you ought to love yourself.